Dear learners, greetings of the day. I am Dr. K. S. Kusuma, Associate Professor at AJK MCRC Jamia Millia Islamia. I welcome you to the lecture on research proposal. Through this lecture, you will be able to understand the step-by-step approach to write a good academic research proposal. I am sure as a part of your courses, conducting the research and writing a detailed dissertation with sound methodology is one of the essential academic assignments in your course. But here, writing a proposal is not an easy task. It requires a lot of technical understanding of writing a proposal, and writing a proposal in fact is an art. Before we get into the writing of the proposals, we need to understand the importance of conducting research. To do research, you need to have a proper methodology. You need to understand the difference between methodology, sample, tools, and how you can implement them. Once you understand what are the different methods, what are the different research designs like qualitative, quantitative, and explorative and experimental, and different kinds of research elements, then in the next stage you will be asked to develop a detailed proposal to study a research topic of your choice, or sometimes basing on your pitching of the topic, it will be assessed and the grant will be given. We write research proposals for different purposes. One, for a bachelor degree dissertation, or maybe MA level dissertations, or a PhD thesis, or an MPhil thesis. These are academic research proposals. On the other hand, we have grant related proposals, where we need to write the timeline and the budget that required for the conduction of that research. There are organizations which are funding researches like Science and Technology. There is a Directorate of Science and Technology will provide you the funds, and also we have ICSSR, and we have ICHR, and we have researches that are funded by various ministries, Ministry of Social Justice, Ministry of I&B, and Ministry of External Affairs. Everybody will try to improve their services, their projects, and sometimes they wanted to know the feedback from the people. So, there are variety of researches are conducted, but primarily we are now dealing in this lecture academic research. To do an academic research, we need to write a detailed academic research proposal. Here, Lusk in 2004, he says that the first step in research process is the development of a clear and well thought out proposal. So, the first thing is, what is the study is about? You need to see from your discipline, you might have studied variety of concepts, theories, models, and disciplines. In the sense, in communication and journalism, we have print journalism, we have television journalism, we have development communication, we have multimedia storytelling. There are different subjects. So, here you need to see what is the area of study that you are interested in. That is a broad area. If you are interested in television studies, then from there you need to start narrowing down to a particular topic. So, remember, narrowing down is a very important thing. A study of television audience of sitcoms in India. If you say in India, it will be a nationwide survey. So, you cannot study in one semester or 2 semester such a large study. So, here when you are thinking about a research proposal, you need to first arrive at a narrowed down topic. For that, identify the area of study, whether it is a television production or whether it is a social media. Then you need to talk about what is the specific variables that you are going to study. So, here once you are clear about this, you need to, from the broad area of study, to then focus on the specific area of study. In the television studies, for example, if you wanted to study the news studies, so that means television studies, then news studies, and only prime time news you are going to study. So, then your focus on a specific area is decided. Once you decide that, you need to formulate the research title. The research title should not be vague. The research title should not be ambiguous. The research title should be able to reflect the research problem as well as some of the goals and objectives. In the sense, if you see a study of rural audience and their social media habits, okay. In this you can have a semicolon and you can give that the method that you are using, maybe a comparative analysis, maybe a experimental study. So, here you need to, in the study, in the title of the study, you can also reflect what is the place that you are studying, that means study area, and what medium you are studying, and where exactly you will be studying, and if sometimes you need to mention your method also. For example, representation of stereotypes in print advertisement, semicolon, a content analysis of Times of India and the Hindu. So, we are doing a comparative study. That title will say you are doing a content analysis, you are doing on issues of women, you are looking at stereotypes. So, the title will give any of the evaluator, because once you develop a proposal, whether it is a funding for any your bachelor degree or any other assignments, you need to first submit your proposal. You are proposing. So, then there will be evaluation of it. So, for the evaluator, the title will give a clear understanding of what is your research is going to study about it. So, then after that, write a brief introduction of topics that are involved in your study. So, give say for example, a good research proposal is around 2500 to 3000 words. In that you give an elaborate introduction about 300 to 400 words, where you need to introduce the topic any new reader who may not be having a thorough understanding in your topic. They should get an idea in the first introduction itself, that what is your intention to do in that study, and how the study is going to cover the new areas in the discipline that you have proposed, that need to be given. After that, you need to write about justification, or you can even say the relevance of the topic. Sometimes there are interchangeably used words are there. There is a purpose of study, significance of the study, relevance of the study, scope of the study. They are interchangeably used, and the purpose is that writing this, you need to tell why this research is important and why this research is important in the current context. Sometimes you are doing a research on maybe 2014 elections coverage, but now we are in much ahead of it. Then what is happening? We wanted to research something which is done in the earlier, but with a new perspective in a new context. So, sometimes we do historical study, sometimes we do current phenomena, but the point is you need to justify, you need to provide at least some possibly around 200 words, 350 words, you need to give why this research need to be provided with funds, or maybe why this research is actually should be accepted. So, here you need to give the relevance of the research, the purpose of the research, how it is going to contribute to the new knowledge in that area. So, that justification you need to give in the next part. After that, you see, once you establish that this research is a very important, and in this study you will ultimately going to generate some kind of a value to the existing knowledge, then you need to go ahead by writing the review of literature. So, here review of literature, here we have different layers of review of literature. One is there are direct references, there are indirect references. In the sense, while writing the review of literature, you will be talking about the whatever research topic that you have proposed exactly on that area with the similar variables which you have mentioned in that. For example, women representation, advertisements and stereotypes. So, if you find any other studies which are done not only in India, but also elsewhere, if they are done, then you need to look at them very carefully and you need to give their arguments, and you also discuss in your review of literature how relevant they are. Maybe you can criticize, maybe you can adopt them, you will be debating and saying that how your research is going to be unique and stand out, and sometimes you will do the review of literature to actually strengthen your argument that this research is actually filling the gaps in research. Sometimes these are very popular topics, but many times many researchers have done, but still there may be some gaps left. So, to establish gaps also you do review of literature. When you do review of literature, it not only indicates that your research is unique, but also it will also give an impression for the people who are assessing your proposal that you have read the key scholars in the study. So, you are aware of some of the papers or books, some of the scholars who are talked about these issues in depth, that you have read it and you have understood, and now you are discussing in your proposal. So, after the title, introduction, significance or purpose of the study, then you will be writing the review of literature. In the review of literature, you can use research papers, you can use books, sometimes nowadays you can use the videos, and but my advice is do not rely too much on the newspaper articles at this stage, but rely on the research papers published in a journal or a book, or even the reports. For example, in media, if you look at FICCI and KPMG report, every year they try to predict what will be the future of Indian media infrastructure as well as the audience viewership. So, you not only look at the research papers and books, but also the reports from the industry or some of the statistical inputs from the government published reports like India Today or media yearly books that you can always use. So, review of literature will also enhance your conceptual and theoretical understanding, and reviewing of these various theories and various models will give you what are the relevant theories that you are going to use in your study, what are the relevant concepts that you are going to use in your study. For example, Everett Rose's diffusion of innovations may not be useful when you are doing a content analysis, but Everett Rose's study will be useful when you are doing any field study, when you are using any development communication related study, or anything that deals with the adoption of a new technology or idea. So, here all of them you need to decide how you will be using them, what are the important theories and models that are relevant to your study, because in for one particular study you can use political economy approach, you can use the marginalized approach. So, you can use approaches by say neo Marxist. The point is you will be choosing the proposing that for this study these are the methods, these are the tools, these are the theories, these are the concepts which will be useful. So, now let me say sum up in a way that in your review of literature you will find out the authors and scholars which are which have done or reports which are related directly to your study. Then you will also provide some of the conceptual understanding, and you will also propose certain theories that you might be using in your study. Remember one thing, that proposal is tentative. It is not that once you propose you cannot do beyond that, but moreover by doing this proposal exercise you will be putting your thoughts in a systematic way and convincing for a funding or acceptance of your proposal. After writing the review of literature, you need to write the research questions, and research questions are statement of problem. Sometimes you explain the research questions briefly as a statement of the problems that are guiding the entire research process. So, here you may write in 1 or 2 lines about your research problem, or sometimes they are also called research questions. So, research questions, research problems are statement of problems. So, you may find a similarity in this, and here you may say what is the effect of the excessive use of WhatsApp or a social media on the youngsters. If you have this question, then what are the methods that are required, what are the tools that are required. So, here the research question should be well defined throughout the process, and keep the research question clear, simple and specific. And if you think there are too many things which you are telling in one question, you should try to have, instead of one question, have 2 questions with a, it should not be double barreled question. So, you should have simple question, and if you propose too many questions, and that study will be very big. So, that is why keeping on your time availability, you need to keep the questions also. I mean to say, the questions are the main heart of the research. From there only the other things which are interlinked, whether it is a review of literature or introduction or titling, all of them, or a methodology, all of them are linked to the research question. So, research question has to be properly formulated. It is not, I am not using it should be written, it should be formulated. So, you need to see what are the variables that you are going to reflect or study in your entire research, that has to be there. Sometimes we write a main research question and sub research question. This is also one format of writing, and whatever research question that you are selected, that should address and identify the gaps in the existing knowledge, because these research questions cannot be written in very general, and that should actually pointing at something that can be innovated, that there is a possibility of innovation and filling the research gaps. And once you write the research questions, then you need to write the research objectives. When you are writing research objectives, these are all always written in the using the action verbs. What are these action verbs? To study, to explore, to examine, to understand. So, here in the writing the objectives, what is happens is you will be promising that I am going to study this, I am going to analyze it, I am going to examine this, I am doing a comparative analysis. So, here you will be listing out what are the activities, what are the study process that you are going to undertake to explore and to find an answer to the research question. So, objectives are also based on the research questions. Whatever research question you have, in simple way, what you need to do to find out the answer to the research question, then 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you need to do. Those are objectives. When you write objectives, you will be telling, I am going to understand the stereotypes, to study the advertisements from this time to this time, you will be giving a timeline. So, you will be promising that these are things which I am going to do this research in this, then it will fulfill to find the truth of the whatever research questions are raised. And after that, it is also optional to write hypothesis. Hypothesis again is a quantitative term which can be used in quantitative researches, but hypothesis, which is also in definition you say is a tentative generalization. So, sometimes after doing certain amount of research, you can have hypothesis. At the review of after doing a review of literature in the proposal, then you can write the hypothesis. Hypothesis is exactly opposite to the research question. Sometimes it may also go with the research questions, and you need to, at the end of the research, when you actually do the research, you need to find out whether hypothesis is proved or it is proved null. So, you will have different types of hypothesis. Like I was already telling, before writing a proposal, you should have an understanding of different methods, tools and concepts of research. After that, you are proposing an idea by using suitable methods, suitable tools, suitable concepts on the research. So, once you know the types of hypothesis, and you can also establish a hypothesis and write a hypothesis, and this hypothesis is actually based on your preliminary knowledge on the topic that you are proposing, but that is a tentative statement, tentative generalization. That means, you are trying to predict something without doing a research, but that will help you to navigate the research. It works like a compass. Compass in a middle of the sea, you will not find exact route like in the Google Maps, it will only tell the direction. So, hypothesis is a tentative generalization which will help you like a compass. So, in this, after you write the hypothesis, and you need to go further towards writing methodology. This is an important section. Anybody who is going to assess your proposal, the methodology is very important, and in this they will look at whether you have taken the exact methodology that is suitable to it, or if you have taken the suitable tools or not. So, in the methodology, you need to exactly select, or at least tentatively, the suitable methods, sampling, tools and design of the study. So, here you need to give an impression that you know what methods will enhance the research capability to find out the better results, and what kind of data you need to implement this research. So, here on one aspect, while you are presenting your reflective literature, your understanding of conceptual and theoretical and subject knowledge, that an examiner will get to know. But in methodology, your capability of doing research will be known by identifying the suitable methods. For example, the study which I have given an example for you, that the impact of, say, impact of advertisements about the perception of women. If I say impact, if I say role, then that requires audience study. Audience study can be conducted through group discussions, through interviews, through surveys. I cannot use content analysis here. If I use multiple methods approach, then I can do a content analysis also, but that is not my main method. If I say representation of women stereotypes in advertisements, then whenever I say representation, then that becomes a content analysis study. I may use a discourse analysis, I may use a textual analysis, I may use a frame analysis. So, everything that methods that deals with analyzing the secondary data content, I will be using them. I will use a coding sheet, I will use a thematic analysis, and I will establish a time frame. The point is, your study, your research question and the title, if you look at what kind of a methodology is suitable to you. So, in this method, tool, sampling. So, here while mentioning it, delimiting the area of study is also very important. You need to tell how much you can do and what you cannot do. So, in this research, in the given time, that is what I am telling, feasibility. What is the feasibility of the study? Whether the data is available, whether we will be able to make field, if there is a field work is involved, we will be able to get the old newspapers or magazines or the television content to study. So, here the feasibility is in terms of the time, financials involved in it, as well as the resources involved in this. So, mentioning about that is also very important. Then what is the type of data is required? So, primarily there is primary data and secondary data in a broader classification. So, primary data, what is primary data? You need to go and collect the data on your own by through interviews or through the surveys, even through focus group discussions, and maybe conducting experimental or longitudinal studies. So, where the researcher is not relying on any printed or any past researches, you will be generating your own primary data. So, here you need to mention whether it is a qualitative study or a quantitative study, or it is a mix of both, or what kind of data, is it heavily relying on secondary data or a primary data or both. So, here you need to tell what is the data requirement for the study. So, basing on that also, sometimes you are mentioning that you will be visiting 10 different states for collecting the data, then it is very difficult. So, here in this data, it is also very important. Sometimes there will be a very sensitive data that you may not be able to access from the sources. You need to take permissions, and that may take time. So, here the kind of data that you require, the feasibility, that need to be also established. And another thing that you need to mention is what are the kind of time limit that you are studying. That means, are you studying for 2015 to 2020, are you studying the starting point and end point. So, that will give, I mean to say that, more narrowing down, more precise, more focused study, and that will also help you to the budgeting. And let us come to the methods. You have variety of methods. In the sense, we have qualitative methods, we have quantitative methods, and there we have case study, we have survey, we have observation, ethnography studies, we have surveys, and we have experimental group, panel studies. So, in all of these, what is the method that is suitable? Sometimes if you are using, previously you see in the traditional research, only single methods are they are used to be implemented, but now keeping the complexities of the research, you will be proposing triangulation. What is triangulation? More than two methods or two methods you used, it is a triangulation. So, you may use something like what you say in conceptually methodological pluralism. That means, you need to have multiple methods approach. So, you will be using not one method, maybe sometimes you will be using, you will also do a survey, you will also do an interview, and you do also content analysis. So, it is also sometimes required as studies where you need to look at. So, then comes to the sample design. Sample also you have different samples, variety of researchers, they have come up with a new kind of sampling designs, and you need to tell about what is your sample size, how you are going to distribute your sample, and you also need to tell that what is the minimum sample error that you are getting. So, once you, I mean, say that are you taking quantitative probability sampling or a non probability sampling, that you need to give. After that, you need to also talk about the whether you have done any pilot study, or you have do you require any pilot study, these things that you need to explain. And lastly, what you need to write is the tentative chapterization. In the tentative chapterization, what is important is the tentative chapterization, you will be like if you see a book, there is a content space. See, in the content space, a chapter's name is given. So, in research actually you will be writing chapters. For example, I am telling there will be an introduction, there is a chapter titled Women and discrimination, then there is a chapter about review of literature, there is a chapter about methodology, there is a chapter about analysis of the representation, then findings and conclusion. So, you need to mention either you bring a title for each chapter. Again, this chapterization also tells you your knowledge about and about your study that you are going to do. Are you well aware of how you are going to present your study once you complete it? So, that means you need to thoroughly understand the topic that you are proposing. So, there these are again chapterization is also, or chapterization scheme is also guided by your research question and objectives. And after that, once you write the tentative chapterization, you need to write the references. The references is very important. Whatever scholar, for example, McLuhan 1964, I am using that book. Then while in the proposal, I must give in-text citation. McLuhan 1964 in-text citation I should give. At the end of the proposal, I need to give full reference, where it is published, when it is published, which book and which city it is published. I need to give all these details. So, and for some proposals, I would like to also advise not only give whatever citations that you have used in your proposals, but also indicative bibliography. That means you are telling the examiners, I am not only referring these books, if I was given a chance, if I get a chance to do this research, these are the books and literature that you are that I am going to use in my study. That is called indicative bibliography. So, that will kind of an impressive thing for any examiner who is evaluating research proposal. So, I am sure you have got the knowledge about the step by step approach to write a research proposal, and all different elements which are there, that you need not to write in the same systematic way which I have told. You can also have introduction, then review of literature, then hypothesis, then research question, or you can have introduction, research question and objectives, then you write review of literature. That is not binding, but make sure that your research proposal is promising and logically it is communicating to the examiner, and it should promise and tell that this is new and this is promising. If given a chance, definitely this will be contributing to a new knowledge. So, thank you very much, and hope you will keep writing good proposals.